Do you have what it takes to make it in voiceover? And your first response might be a quick, well, yes, of course, sure. Why else would I be here? Chances are you don't. We're going to find out today. So hang around. My name is Bill DeWeese. I'm a professional voiceover talent. I've been doing this for 17 years. I'm also a voiceover coach. And every weekday morning at about this time, we get together on YouTube to talk voiceover. I like to share a tip, a trick, a strategy, a thought, a philosophy, a motivational thought to help you to become more profitable in voiceover. Because if you're not making money in voiceover, it is a hobby. And if you want it to be more than a hobby, then you've come to the right place. There are over 900 videos on this channel to help you in that. And to go into a deeper dive, there's my voiceover blueprint. Go into the description below, click the link, find out all about it. Well, what we're doing this week is this. We are counting down and talking about my most popular, all-time popular YouTube videos. Started with on Tuesday, I think it was, we started with the fourth most popular all time by views, and we're working our way down to number one. Today, we have the second most popular YouTube video of all time, which is entitled, um, Do You Have, or Watch This Video. Before getting into voiceover, watch this video first, or subtitled, Do You Have What It Takes to Make It in Voiceover? And let me just be very honest up front. Far more people love the idea of being in voiceover. Far more people love the idea of voiceover than they actually love doing the work of voiceover. And that's why I said at the top of the video that there chances are you don't have what it takes, because you may be thinking, oh, you think I don't have the talent. I'm not talking about that at all. Because in my experience, and I've had a lot of it, and I've worked with a lot of people, I've observed a lot within the industry. I've seen people who are wildly talented and those who are not very talented at all be very successful in terms of making money in voiceover. If it was simply a matter of talent, we'd be having a completely different discussion, but it's not. It goes far beyond talent. You can develop the talent that you need to be successful in voiceover. That's not the question. The question is, are your expectations set in the right place? And are you willing to do what it takes to succeed? And the difference between, and I made a video about this once, and you might want to search it, look it up. Says, I think it was called The Difference Between Me and You. And one of the big differences between me and those who don't succeed in voiceover is I'm willing to do the things that those who don't succeed are not willing to do. So let's talk about that today. So again, our premise is this: more people love the idea of voiceover than they love being in voiceover. And we all know that from experience. It's not just a voiceover thing, it's a life thing. We've all had things that we thought, yeah, that sounds amazing. I'm fascinated by this, whatever it is. And then we begin to go down that road and think, whoa, no, I do not want to do that. It's not what I thought it was. It's going to require way more of me than I thought would be required in terms of whatever your resources, your time, your money, yourself. Um, so understanding what it takes and setting proper expectations, I think, is paramount. Otherwise, don't waste your time and don't fool yourself, because voiceover, it's not easy. Growing any business, if you want to be self-employed, self-employment is not easy. However, it's wonderful. I cannot imagine. I mean, once you do it, you'll never go back. And the great thing about the voiceover business is, even though it's not easy, it is simple. It is simple to do. It's not complicated. There's not a lot of moving parts in this business. There's several things that you need to know and understand, but then you need to, and here's where the rub comes, you have to execute. Consistency. The discipline of consistency is what seems to elude most people. So here's a big thought for you. Number one, voiceover is a marathon. It is not a sprint. And perhaps, being a former distance runner and marathon, I say marathoner, I'm not like a guy who runs a marathon every month. I've run a few marathons in my life. But if you've run any marathon or any race of any length at all, you understand that it's a different mentality. It's a different approach to go the distance as opposed to go to where you can just see the light at the end of the tunnel, 50 yards, 100 yards, even a mile. But when you're going 26.2 miles, or if you're an ultra marathoner, you're going 50 or 100 miles, it is a completely different experience. It's a different mindset. And if you don't have your head in the right place, then what happens is a few strides down the road, you're thinking, "Whoo, I'm running out of gas. I'm out of breath. When does this thing happen? When's this going to break loose? I'm running, and this hurts, and I'm not seeing any results." Well, that's the way marathons work. The results are there, but you have to continue to put one foot in front of the other. So when somebody comes to me and they say, "Bill, I want to be in voiceover because I'm losing my job and I've got to make that income up in the next 3 months." Well, the first thing you need to understand is this is wrong. But if you expect to replace your income in the next 3 months, then you need to find something else. Rob banks or something. But voiceover is not, unless you're a rare, rare, rare exception, it's not going to work for you. Now, when I got into voiceover, I was able to replace my income in less than a year. But understand that I gave it was a full-time effort for me. This was not a part-time effort, and I was losing my job. The company was going out of business, and I had to make something work. And so I didn't understand it. I didn't know there wasn't nearly as much information online back then as there is now. But I just jumped in and I just started working and making mistakes and tripping over myself and learning and what worked, throwing stuff against the wall and what stuck, I kept doing, Um, and I think that's another thing that you need to be aware of, and that is you have to be willing to make mistakes. You have to be willing to embarrass yourself because you don't learn anything unless you make mistakes. And so many people that contact me want to know every answer to every conceivable question before they take their first step. And it's impossible because everybody's journey is slightly different. Sure, there are principles that hold true across the board. But if you're waiting to understand everything there is to know before you move forward, you will never move forward. And I know I'm being frank today, but I think sometimes it's important. I mean, I'm excited about voiceover. And if I'm not careful, I'll only talk about the fun part and how awesome it is because it is awesome. It has been amazing to me and to my family. I mean, I can't believe what it's done for my life. It's been incredible. And yeah, I'd love for everybody to do it. But I'm reminded on occasion that not everybody is willing to do the work that's involved. And you've got to be willing to put yourself out there. You've got to be willing to embarrass yourself. And believe me, I've embarrassed myself more times than I can possibly count. And if you don't overcome that obstacle, it is really hard to succeed in voiceover. And the great thing that you'll learn as you trip your way to success, and there's a title for a book, Tripping My Way to Success in Voiceover, is that people are people. Clients understand that you're a human being. They don't, even as somebody who's done this for as long as I have, I still make mistakes. I do things, things I don't understand that I still learn. And people are, generally speaking, are pretty gracious and understanding because they experience the same things in their life. So you have to be willing to make those mistakes and to embarrass yourself occasionally because it happens. Otherwise, you're not doing anything. The other thing is voiceover is not show business. And I think for many, and maybe for you, you see it as bright lights and glamour, and you see people on Facebook who are going to these award ceremonies and such, which is fine. I mean, I'd like for you all to win awards. I think that's great to be acknowledged by your peers. But the reality is that doesn't put money in your pocket, doesn't put a penny in your pocket, and does nothing except perhaps give you a boost of confidence, which is not a bad thing. But the daily grind of voiceover is just that. It's the daily grind. It's not cameras, action, lights, applause, people patting you on the back and telling you how great you are. The culture of voiceover is very much don't call us, we'll call you. If you're looking for a lot of feedback other than getting paid, and that's the feedback that ultimately you've got to learn to get excited about because that's what really keeps the wheels greased and keeps this whole thing moving and allows you to do what you do. But if you want people to be patting you on the back every day and telling you how great you are, and a lot of performers need that. And I've been around long enough to know that. And if that's what you need, this is not for you. You need something, maybe working in theater or something or music, where you get more instantaneous gratification. And I understand that. There's nothing wrong with that. And if that's what you need, then that's what you need to do. But voiceover is very much not that way. And I'm not saying that people won't give you feedback. Of course they do. Of course my clients compliment me. They say nice things to me. But it's not the culture of the business because everything's distant. It's done over email. It's typically done quickly. It's very transactional. So it's not in the DNA of this kind of business. It's just not. And so before you get into voiceover, you need to understand these things. Now, voiceover, I think is the best thing in the world. I'm thrilled that I do it. I love the work of it. I enjoy the grind of it. I enjoy marketing myself. I know, I may throw 30 or 40 auditions out there and get nothing, but that's okay. I mean, would I love to, book 10 out of every 20 auditions I do? Absolutely. Do I? Not even close. But that's okay because I understand that. I understand that it's a numbers game. And I have mentally prepared myself to run the marathon. And I know that's just the way it works. So I don't say this to discourage you by any means. As a matter of fact, I want you all to be wildly successful in voiceover. But you have to have the proper expectations going in. You have to have your head in the right place because if you don't, it's merciless. Business in general is merciless. It will beat you up and it won't care. But if you go into it with a proper mindset and understand it and are willing to work it, it will reward you handsomely. And that's what I want for you, to have a profitable, sustainable voiceover career. And let me just give another plug for the voiceover blueprint. I mean, that's why I designed the program, because I know what it takes. Not only what you need to know intellectually, but the skills that you need, and also the pathway that you have to navigate to get there, and the support that you need to get there. And that's what the blueprint's all about. So in the description, click the link, get all the details, because I want you to be successful in voiceover.